There are moments in life when it feels like everything is falling apart. When doors close, friends walk away, and silence fills the room where answers used to echo. You pray, but heaven seems quiet. You believe, but nothing seems to move. Yet, beloved, it's in those very moments, when the night feels longest, that God is working behind the scenes, preparing something greater than you've ever imagined. When God is about to release something big into your life, He often shakes everything that is small. He removes people, distractions, and comforts that cannot carry the weight of your next blessing. You may feel like you're losing, but you're actually gaining alignment. That emptiness you feel is not absence, it's preparation space. God never adds without first clearing room. You see, before every divine promotion, there comes a divine disruption. God breaks routine to build revelation. He tests your patience, your faith, and your endurance, not to destroy you, but to strengthen the vessel that will hold the miracle. Sometimes the storm isn't sent to stop you, but to strip you of everything that's not meant to go with you. And when the warfare intensifies, don't panic. It's a sign you're close. The enemy only attacks what's valuable. The pressure, the pain, the waiting, they're not punishment. They're proof that heaven is about to deliver. So hold on, keep praying, keep believing, because when God is about to give you something big, He will first prepare you to receive it. The shaking is not the end, it's the beginning of breakthrough. Number one, everything familiar starts falling apart. There comes a season in every believer's life when the ground beneath them begins to shake, and everything that once felt secure starts to crumble. The people you trusted suddenly walk away. The plans you were so sure about fall apart before your eyes. The comfort zones you built over years no longer bring peace, and life starts feeling uncertain, confusing, and unstable. But friend, this isn't a sign that God has forgotten you. It's a sign that He's preparing you. God will often allow familiar things to fall apart when He's about to do something extraordinary. When you've prayed for growth, for purpose, for divine destiny, He won't leave you standing in the same soil. He will uproot you, not to destroy you, but to replant you where you can flourish. What feels like loss is actually transition. He's not punishing you. He's positioning you for something bigger than your imagination. When God starts shifting your life, it rarely feels comfortable. The reason is simple. Transformation always begins with disruption. You can't step into the new while still holding on to the old. When everything familiar starts falling apart, God is calling you into trust, not understanding. He's removing what is expired so that what is eternal can take its place. It's the same God who told Abraham to leave everything he knew, his land, his family, his comfort, to step into a promise he couldn't yet see. And it's in that letting go that destiny begins. When your plans fail, it's because heaven's blueprint has taken over. You may cry, you may feel alone, but God is doing His deepest work in the silence. What you're losing is not necessary for where you're going. Sometimes God allows this shaking because He knows that comfort breeds complacency. As long as things remain predictable, you stay where you are. But He loves you too much to let you settle in smallness when greatness is calling. When the familiar begins to fade, it's because He's calling you out of the shallow waters into the deep, where faith must lead. You see, faith is not needed where everything makes sense. Faith is born where sight ends. The breakdown of what's familiar forces you to depend on God like never before. The relationships you once leaned on, the routines that made you feel safe, the resources you counted on, when they're gone, your heart learns to rely on Him completely. That's where transformation truly begins. And in this season, you'll notice that things you once tolerated will suddenly feel heavy. Conversations that once entertained you now feel empty. Environments that used to comfort you begin to drain you. That's not depression, it's divine disconnection. God is detaching you from what can't go with you into your next level. Some people aren't leaving because they're bad. They're leaving because their assignment in your story is complete. The job that ends, the friendship that fades, the opportunity that closes. They're all signs that God is aligning your path to something greater. Every ending carries the seed of a new beginning. It's painful, yes, but the pain is proof that purpose is in motion. You must understand God doesn't destroy without intention. When He breaks something, it's because He plans to rebuild it stronger, purer, and aligned with His perfect will. When He removes the familiar, He's making space for the supernatural. The old systems, old connections, and old ways of thinking can't sustain the weight of what He's bringing next. What was once good has now become limiting. He shakes it, not because He's angry, but because He refuses to let you stay small. When everything familiar falls apart, don't panic. Pause and discern. Ask, Lord, what are you making room for? Because in the ruins of what you've lost lies the foundation of what you've prayed for. It may feel like the enemy is attacking you, but sometimes it's God Himself interrupting your comfort. He will allow your plans to collapse so that His promise can stand. He will take away what you've been holding on to so tightly just to place something far greater in your hands. You may not understand it now, but the shaking is divine mercy. It's God pulling you out of what's temporary and preparing you for what's eternal. Every piece that falls away is a piece that wasn't meant for your future. When everything familiar starts falling apart, don't lose heart, because even in the breaking, God is building something beautiful. Number 2, you feel an unexplainable restlessness. There are seasons in your life when, even though everything seems to be in place, something deep inside begins to stir. You can't explain it to anyone, not even to yourself. You have a good job, stable relationships, and a comfortable rhythm, yet a quiet unease keeps whispering, there's more. It's not dissatisfaction in the natural sense, it's a divine stirring in your spirit. This unexplainable restlessness isn't a sign that something's wrong, it's a sign that something's beginning. God is waking you up to destiny. You've outgrown the space you're in, and heaven knows it before you do. That tension you feel is the Spirit of God gently nudging you out of the familiar and into the unknown. He's calling you to move from comfort to calling, from routine to revelation. The stirring inside your soul is not confusion, it's confirmation that God is shifting your life. This kind of restlessness often arrives quietly, but its impact is undeniable. You begin to lose interest in things that once excited you. The conversations, habits, and environments that once felt alive now feel empty. It's not that you've changed overnight. It's that your spirit has entered a new dimension of awareness. God is whispering, you can't stay here anymore. The restlessness isn't punishment. It's preparation. Just like an eagle stirs her nest to teach her young to fly, God stirs your heart to make you uncomfortable with smallness. You can't soar while you're still clinging to safety. This divine discontent is heaven's way of saying there's something greater ahead and I need you ready for it. The unease you feel is the first sign that you're being called to new territory, a place your current mindset can't yet comprehend. In this season, you might find yourself asking, why can't I feel settled? That's because God is loosening your attachment to where you've been. Every time you try to settle, something inside you resists. You're not being ungrateful, you're being awakened. The Spirit of God won't let you stay comfortable when there's more to become. You may try to silence it with distractions, busyness, or routine, but the feeling persists. That's because what's happening isn't emotional, it's spiritual. God is birthing something inside of you. And just like natural birth, there's pressure before the promise. The restlessness you feel is the stretching of your spiritual womb, preparing you to carry something bigger. It's uncomfortable, yes, but it's sacred. When God wants to move you into destiny, He doesn't always speak through signs and wonders. Sometimes He speaks through discomfort. You'll notice that during these seasons, peace and purpose no longer align with your old surroundings. Things that once made sense now feel foreign. You may even feel out of place among people who once understood you. That's because God is transitioning your identity. He's separating who you were from who you're becoming. It's like a caterpillar trying to remain on the branch while its wings are forming. It's impossible. What used to fit will now feel too tight. That's not failure, that's growth. The restlessness is heaven's announcement that you've entered a new chapter. And though you may not see what's ahead, your spirit does. Deep inside, there's a knowing that something greater is waiting, and it's pulling you forward. You don't have to understand the full picture. You just have to trust that the one who planted this desire will lead you to fulfillment. There's also a refining that happens in this restlessness. God begins to reorder your priorities. You'll notice your hunger for Him intensifying, a deeper craving for prayer, solitude, and stillness. You might even lose interest in surface-level things because your soul is yearning for depth. This isn't depression or confusion, it's transformation. God is separating noise from purpose. He's weaning you off things that once fed your flesh so He can feed your spirit. The restlessness is not just about where you're going, it's about who you're becoming. He's teaching you to find fulfillment not in results, but in His presence. When you lean into that inner stirring instead of running from it, you'll discover it's actually an invitation, an open door to intimacy, revelation, and direction. Eventually, you begin to recognize that this unexplainable restlessness is holy. It's God's way of getting your attention when words no longer do. It's how He calls you out of the ordinary into the extraordinary. You'll start to realize that you were never meant to settle for good enough when He created you for greater. The unease is your soul's reminder that you are being prepared for expansion. Every time you feel that pull, remember, heaven is rearranging your steps. God is moving pieces you can't see, setting divine appointments, and preparing places your feet have yet to touch. The restlessness isn't the absence of peace. It's the presence of purpose trying to be born. And until you step into it, that inner stirring will not let you rest, because destiny refuses to let you sleep when it's time to awaken. Number 3, unexpected delays and closed doors. There are moments in life when it feels like every door you knock on stays shut. You pray with tears in your eyes, you plan with all your strength, and yet nothing moves. You send out applications, chase opportunities, and every time you think breakthrough is near, something unexpected blocks the way. It's easy to believe you've done something wrong or that God has forgotten you. But what if those closed doors are not rejection, but redirection? What if the delays you're facing are divine pauses, perfectly timed by heaven to protect you from what's not ready or not right for you yet? God's no is often His greatest mercy in disguise. While you're seeing failure, He's seeing your future. The delay isn't because He's holding something back from you, it's because He's preparing something better for you. When God closes a door, it's never to imprison you, it's to guide you. The path you thought was perfect may be the very one that leads to heartbreak or compromise. You see, God knows what's behind every opportunity, the hidden traps, the unseen motives, the unseen timing that could destroy your purpose if entered too soon. So, when He allows something to slip away, it's not loss, it's protection. That closed door is not a curse, it's a shield. Sometimes He will let the opportunity you wanted vanish because it's beneath the calling you carry. His plan isn't to make life hard, it's to make your destiny strong. Trusting closed doors means trusting that your Father sees beyond what your eyes can perceive. Every disappointment is God's way of saying, wait, I have something better than this. Many delays are some of God's most misunderstood blessings. In the waiting, faith is tested, character is refined, and pride is broken. The delay stretches your patience so your spirit can grow into what your purpose demands. You may cry, you may question, and you may feel forgotten, but God is never late. He's simply aligning everything around you to fit perfectly with His divine timing. If He answered your prayer too early, you'd step into a blessing your maturity couldn't sustain. Just as a fruit plucked before its time turns bitter, a blessing received prematurely becomes a burden. So when God delays, it's not because He's denying, it's because He's developing you. He's strengthening your heart, sharpening your discernment and teaching you how to trust His voice over your desire. Many people mistake delay for denial and walk away too soon. They stop praying, stop believing, and start doubting the promises God gave them. But those who understand heaven's timing know that every pause has purpose. Think about Joseph, the dreamer who was promised greatness yet thrown into a pit, sold into slavery and locked in a prison. To the world it looked like endless delay, but to God it was divine preparation. Each delay was shaping him for the day he'd rise to power. If Joseph had escaped the prison early, he would have missed the throne. Likewise, your delay is not a punishment, it's training for kingship. God's not making you wait to frustrate you. He's preparing you to hold what He's promised without losing your peace or your faith. Sometimes closed doors come in the form of rejection from people, jobs, or dreams you thought were meant to last forever. But if you could see what God sees, you'd thank Him for every no. That relationship that ended might have stolen your destiny. That job you didn't get might have limited your growth. That opportunity that fell apart might have distracted you from your calling. Every closed door has a purpose stamped on it. You may not read it now, but one day you'll look back and realize if that door hadn't shut, you wouldn't have found the one God built for you. Closed doors are not the end of your journey. They're divine detours, redirecting you to your promised path. There will come a moment when all the waiting suddenly makes sense. The doors that once rejected you will seem small compared to the one God opens. What you thought was lost will be replaced by something far more fulfilling. You'll realize the delays taught you endurance, the silence taught you trust, and the closed doors taught you discernment. So when you face another delay, don't panic. Pause. When another door closes, don't despair. Discern. God's timing is never cruel, only careful. He loves you too much to let you settle for less than His best. What feels like delay is divine design, the kind that shapes you, strengthens you, and silently ushers you toward the miracle that's already written in heaven's plan. However, the spiritual warfare intensifies. When God is preparing to elevate you, the atmosphere around you begins to shift. Suddenly, battles you never faced before seem to rise from every direction. Emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually, it feels like the weight of the world has landed on your shoulders. What once was easy now feels exhausting. People misunderstand you, doors close unexpectedly, and the peace you once carried feels challenged at every turn. This isn't coincidence. It's spiritual warfare. Whenever heaven is about to release something powerful into your life, hell tries to interfere. The enemy doesn't fight what doesn't threaten him. He only fights what carries purpose. That heaviness you feel isn't defeat, it's confirmation that you're close to breakthrough. The enemy senses your promotion before you do, and his goal is simple: to distract you, discourage you, and drain you before you reach it. But even in the warfare, God is strengthening your endurance, sharpening your discernment, and teaching you how to fight from victory, not for it. In seasons of spiritual warfare, confusion becomes a common weapon. The enemy attacks your mind because he knows if he can control your thoughts, he can cripple your faith. You'll begin to question yourself, your calling, and even God's promises. The clarity you once had may seem foggy. Your spiritual fire may flicker under the weight of weariness. But this mental storm is not a sign of failure. It's evidence that something within you is maturing. God allows this pressure not to break you, but to teach you how to stand. In the storm, your roots dig deeper. You learn that faith isn't about feelings, it's about conviction. You learn to speak truth even when your emotions disagree. The mind becomes a battlefield, but it's also the training ground where spiritual authority is built. Each thought you capture, each fear you silence, becomes a weapon forged in the fire of warfare. As the battle intensifies, you may notice that people begin to change around you. Friends who once supported you grow distant. Relationships you relied on become strained or even fall apart. This too is part of the warfare. The enemy loves to use people, not because they're evil, but because they're accessible. When you start walking into purpose, spiritual opposition often manifests through human conflict. But don't be discouraged. These separations are not setbacks, they're strategies. God is filtering your circle to match your assignment. Some people were only meant to walk with you to a certain chapter, not the whole story. Their exit isn't loss, it's divine editing. Warfare exposes what can stay and what must go. It forces you to lean on God, not people. It teaches you to recognize who's truly aligned with your spirit and who's just attached to your comfort. During intense warfare, even your atmosphere begins to feel heavy. Sleep becomes difficult, anxiety creeps in, and you may feel an unshakable tension in your spirit. It's not random, it's spiritual resistance. When your breakthrough is near, the enemy amplifies pressure to make you surrender before your victory manifests. But understand this, pressure is proof of proximity. The pain, the fatigue, the frustration, they're signs that you're on the edge of something significant. This is where many give up, not realizing that the enemy always fights hardest right before he loses. God doesn't remove the warfare, he gives you power to withstand it. Every prayer you pray in that tension becomes a seed for deliverance. Every tear you shed waters the soil of your promise. You're not losing ground. You're advancing through resistance. In warfare, God often reveals hidden strengths you didn't know you had. When everything seems against you, you discover what's truly within you. You begin to pray with more authority, worship with more passion, and trust with deeper surrender. You learn that spiritual battles aren't won by logic, but by faith. You realize that the name of Jesus isn't just something you say. It's a weapon that shifts atmospheres. The Word of God becomes your sword, and your praise becomes your shield. Every time you refuse to quit, you push back darkness. Every moment you choose worship over worry, heaven moves on your behalf. What once felt like a burden becomes your boot camp for dominion. You begin to understand that warfare doesn't come to destroy you, it comes to develop you. Eventually you look back and recognize that every battle served a purpose. The warfare wasn't random, it was refinement. The attacks that tried to break you actually built your resilience. The opposition that came to silence you actually sharpened your voice. God didn't allow the warfare to prove the strength of the enemy. He allowed it to reveal the strength of your faith. The more intense the conflict, the greater the calling. You were never meant to live a battle-free life. You were meant to live a victorious one. And victory is only proven through war. So when spiritual warfare intensifies, it's not the end. It's the confirmation that heaven's hand is on your life and that something powerful is about to unfold. When everything around you starts to shift, when familiar things fall apart, when restlessness fills your heart, when doors close unexpectedly, and when the battle intensifies, remember this truth. It's not the end, it's divine alignment. God is not punishing you, He's positioning you. The shaking, the waiting, the silence, and the warfare are all pieces of a holy process preparing you for something far greater than you can see. What feels like loss is actually the breaking of limitations. What feels like confusion is the stirring of transformation. And what feels like delay is heaven's way of saying, I'm making everything ready for you. Every tear you've cried, every prayer whispered in the dark, every step you've taken in faith, none of it is wasted. God is using every moment to refine your character, strengthen your faith, and align your heart with His perfect plan. You may not understand the path, but you can trust the purpose. The pain is temporary, but the promise is eternal. Don't give up in the middle of the process. Your breakthrough is being built in the silence. So when God starts shifting your world, don't run from it. Lean into it. Because on the other side of every closed door, every restless night, and every battle, there's a blessing waiting with your name on it. The shaking is not your ending, it's your awakening. You are not being broken down, you're being built up for something greater. Hold your peace, keep your faith, and stay expectant, because God's next move in your life will make sense of everything you've been through. Thank you for listening. Stay encouraged, and may God bless you abundantly in every area of your life.